To order, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. The purpose of this meeting is to vote to consider the non-renewal of an administrative contract. This is the legal and professional procedural process to open consideration that allows for formal discussions and deliberations to take place. It is of utmost importance that we respect and adhere to the policies and procedures in place that allow for due process and confidentiality. On the topic of confidentiality, no member of this board or administration will discuss the legally protected confidentiality of personnel matters. This is simply a professional standard and legal expectation in any field involving employment. There is, however, one question I can and will address today, but I want to make sure we understand that transparency does not mean we operate in violation of the law. The question is, why now? Indiana administrative contract laws and our school board policy dictate that administrative contracts due to expire must be given the notice of consideration of non-renewal 30 days prior to March 1st. This allows for the appropriate due process to take place. As this board has shown over the last year, we've made a concerted effort to open our public meetings, which are all shared and posted to the internet to allow for an extended opportunity for public involvement and information. The past year, there has been a variety of initiatives to elicit community input. We are a board that does not hide behind closed doors. We are a board of dedicated and involved community members and parents. We each have perspectives and experiences and backgrounds that bring us the different perspectives that we can each discuss on matters we're tasked with. If the decision is made tonight to initiate the process to consider the non-renewal of an administrative contract, the process will not take place in the public forum. However, I can assure you of the integrity of the decision-making process of this board. To those who attended and spoke last week, those who have reached out, and those of you that are here tonight, we will listen openly and respect your willingness to ensure all perspectives are shared with the board. Each board member is entitled to and encouraged to vote as they see fit. The strength of a board is not in one of complete agreement on all matters, but one that challenges us to fully deliberate our decisions. For those of you wanting to speak tonight, we will adhere to a strict 3-minute time limit. I ask that each person here tonight remain respectful and considerate of everyone in this room. So with that, we will move to open the opportunity for public input on board-related agenda items, starting with Jenna Stoit.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me the time to speak, and thanks to everybody who's here tonight. My name is Jenna Stoit, and I'm a school counselor at Lowell High School. As a school counselor, I value empathy and advocacy. I am committed to putting forth the time and effort to ensure every voice is heard. Although the evidence and facts remain ambiguous for the motion to not renew Angela Patrick's administrative contract, there seems to be some concern for her leadership, which is why we are gathered here tonight again. Last week, a confidential memo was provided to the board. This is part of the system that I understand, as it was a chance for a perspective to be heard. The information was considered, and afterwards, 2 board members could not put forth a motion. In fact, a board member stated that Mrs. Patrick has seemed committed to fixing alleged mistakes, and that the confidential memo detailing the reason for this proposal was not sufficient enough compared to the testimony of her faculty and staff. Surprise and confusion continue to grow. Fear for repercussion or making things worse has been real. But here I stand, not due to courage or passion, but the reality I hope we do not face, including lost trust in the system and the potential of loss of personnel should this move forward. And we know the scariest reality is the students will lose the most. Now, for the second time in less than 2 weeks, with mere hours to organize ourselves, we ask that our voices be heard. 2/3 of our certified staff have submitted their name or a statement, some of which include the concession that no place is perfect and not every decision will result in unanimous agreement from every individual, but we are asking to be heard as a majority that Mrs. Angela Patrick and her current appointment has been and will continue to be good for this school, this corporation, this community, and most importantly, our students. Thank you. I now have an anonymous statement to share from a coworker who approached me today and asked me to read it with you this evening. This is our current mission statement as listed on our website. The mission of Tri Creek School Corporation is to provide a safe, nurturing environment which develops skillful citizens to be able to think critically, solve problems, and work independently and cooperatively. Today, I do not feel we are living up to our mission as we are preparing to deny our students a strong, kind, educated female mentor. Empathy, something that we recognize students and staff for. I'm greatly concerned that we are here yet again fighting for Angela Patrick. Our voices were dismissed by our superintendent and not addressed at all last week. I ask that this week people address us and at least act like our voices matter. I repeatedly heard culture cited last week. What kind of culture are you now demonstrating? That no matter the work, how beloved a person is, the positive reviews, the positive feedback, even the huge demonstration of love last week, this is showing us that once your name is up, the witch hunt will not stop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Julie Witkowski.
Hi, thanks again. My name is Julie Witkowski. I'm the Director of School Counseling at the high school. On behalf of my colleagues, I'm here to resubmit the data, facts, and personal statements that were read at last week's school board meeting. In the interest of time, we aren't going to read it all again, but I want to remind the board of the resoundingly positive accomplishments and remarks presented regarding the leadership at Lowell High School, and in particular, Angela Patrick. Since the last meeting, we've gained additional signatures and statements. It's also important to note that a number of people have shared that they strongly support Angela, but they've remained anonymous or quiet because of their concern for repercussions from district leadership. Still, others wanted to be here tonight, but due to the time constraints, illness, and other obligations couldn't make it. I've chosen to speak with you again tonight not out of loyalty to Mrs. Patrick, but because my own integrity requires me to stand up for what's right. Mr. Anderson recently asked us to trust the process and indicated that there must be something significant that we're not aware of that's prompted him to consider the non-renewal of Mrs. Patrick's contract. With all due respect, I don't believe this to be the case. Our faith in this process has been shaken. When I take into account the following facts, I can only conclude that there are no reasons significant enough to warrant this drastic of a response. Should this motion move forward, Mrs. Patrick would be offered a teaching position within the corporation, which shows that nothing egregious has occurred. The board members have been made aware of the alleged issues via the confidential memo distributed among them, yet at least 2 members of last week's meeting stated there was not enough facts or data to support the non-renewal. School board members publicly cited a lack of communication and transparency among the board and expressed an expectation of catching hell for not supporting the motion. A board member stated, "I couldn't ask for more in a leader." Mrs. Patrick has always had a highly effective evaluation within Tri Creek School Corporation, including this school year. A significant majority of our building have no concerns with Mrs. Patrick's ability to lead, build relationships, and facilitate positive school culture. We've talked a lot about school culture in the last year. Removal of Mrs. Patrick from the principal role at LHS would have a detrimental impact upon the faculty and staff and the students. Many strong and highly effective teachers have made it known that they would leave the corporation if Mrs. Patrick's contract was not renewed. Without facts, data, or any record of a serious offense, I believe the school board has an obligation to do the right thing and renew Angela Patrick's contract for principal at Lowell High School. Thank you.
handwriting. Elizabeth S. Oh, sorry.
Good evening. I just wanted to take a moment tonight to thank the teachers and staff who have been supportive of our administrative team and Mrs. Patrick at LHS. Your kindness and support mean more than you will ever know. I hope that when a vote is taken tonight, the testimonies of these individuals will be taken into account. As was stated at the previous board meeting, the people who work with Mrs. Patrick and our administrative team day in and day out can speak best to their experiences in our environment at LHS. As an administrative team, we are willing to put in the work to grow. We want LHS to be the best school that it can be. We want to support teachers and staff, and we want to help students meet their full potential. I do not believe that our work is done as a team, and Angela Patrick is a huge part of that work that we have done and we will continue to do. We want to continue working with Mrs. Patrick, and I'm asking that you give us that opportunity to continue as a team. Thank you.
Deborah Hinchey.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm just speaking from my heart. I've been at Lowell 4 years, 3 years in the classroom, 1 year at the virtual academy. I came here from business, right? I teach dual credit entrepreneurship pathway, dual credit honors economics, work-based learning, do a bunch of other things. I taught leadership at Purdue Northwest and was on the industrial advisory board there. I was in business leadership. I taught leaders. I know how to measure and I can recognize leaders and competency. That was my job, okay? I recognize professional behavior. Angela Patrick is the embodiment of professionalism. I can imagine what kind of hot seat she's been in leading up to what's happened and occurred here the past few weeks and even whatever happened there. I don't know any of the details, but I can tell you that all I see when I see her is professionalism. She has never let anything slip. You would never even know there was anything going on. From the moment I walked into Lowell High School, she's been kind, supportive. I didn't really know my way around a high school classroom. She asked, what do you need? How can I help you? She pointed me in the right direction. She pointed me to people that would facilitate what I needed, where to go. She helps new young teachers. She holds people accountable, yes, but she cares about students. She wants everyone to be excellent, and she never asks for more than she's willing to do herself. She wants to grow. She wants us to grow. She's the embodiment of a servant leader. I'm sorry, I have a dry mouth, okay?
It's warm in here, we all do.
When I've taught leadership and what I ask my entrepreneurial students to do is be brave. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just get up and don't make the same mistake again. So if our leaders make mistakes, wipe the slate clean. That's what we do with our students and that's what we do with each other. Why can't we do that if one of our leaders do that? We've been asked to do that when people are on learning curves. I get emails that say that. Okay, if Angela's been offered a teaching contract, that tells me she hasn't done anything horrible if you want her to be a teacher. Okay, she's a professional. She's competent. So wipe the slate clean. Start over. She's a servant leader. When she makes decisions, she says, is this going to help the students? Is this going to help the faculty? She puts herself last. I can't ask for anything else. And I've worked with CEOs of billion-dollar corporations here, Europe, Japan. I've seen them at their best and I've seen them at their worst. She's the best. Thank you for your time.
Greg Walker.
First of all, I would like to thank the board for allowing me to speak. My name is Greg Walker. I've lived in the Tri Creek community for 9+ years. I have 3 children in the system. I would like to start by saying I would never in a million years think that I would speak publicly in front of a board. My opinions are limited to the people I hold near. After watching the school board meeting on 1/11, I found it disturbing that a particular administrator had a contract that was in jeopardy. I'm not going to dwell on the 1/11 meeting, but I want to express what I believe was the most important takeaways. First was the overwhelming support for our current high school administrators, but in particular the undeniable support for Angela Patrick. Counselors, teachers, admin, in support of attendance, teachers writing testimonials on the character of Angela, leadership, compassion, an easy approachable administrator that is always supportive and always has an open door. Many of these same testimonies stating the reason for staying in the Tri-Creek school system is directly related to the presence of Angela. Then the board votes, both confusing and concerning, but made one clear point. What was on that confidential piece of paper was not adding up with the testimony, energy, emotion heard in the board meeting that night. I would like to commend the board members that were able to evaluate all the information given and base their opinion or base their decision accordingly. I have had the privilege of knowing Angela for roughly 6 years. She is a workaholic. Will drop anything for students or staff members. I personally experienced her working on family vacations. She has strong character, a proven leader. Her organizational skills are second to none. A person who stands for what is right. She is by the book. Someone who will hold people accountable for their actions. She is a wife, a mother of 3, and lives in the Tri-Creek community. Someone vested in this community. A total package administrator. I believe she is a true meaning of what RDP stands for. As a business owner, I'm in constant search for quality employees, specifically people in leadership roles. In this day and age, employees, especially leaders, are hard to come by. I would be lucky to employ someone with even half of Angela's character traits. Tri-Creek has hit the jackpot with Angela. As I stated before, a total package administrator. I strongly believe it would be crushing to lose an administrator with these characteristics and support to another school administration. In conclusion, earlier this week, I sent a letter to the school board, attempting to voice my concerns, asking the elected voice of our community, the board members, to do the homework necessary to evaluate this administrator, not only trust the information that was being provided to them on a confidential sheet of paper. I question the board with this agenda process. It looks sketchy. The speed, willingness to hurry and set up a special board meeting immediately following the failure of this agenda item the previous week. I sincerely hope, for the sake of the school system, community, and credibility of the board, that your decision is made with the same red devil pride values that Angela has shown time and time again. I hope
You're over your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Bran Carter.
Good evening. My name is Bran Carter, and for those of you who do not know me, I'm a 2023 LHS graduate. During my time here at LHS, I was vice president of the Leadership Club, a 4-year peer mentor, a 2-sport athlete in which I was captain in both, a student who held a 4.0 GPA in National Honor Society, and a student section leader. As you see by these positions I held, I took pride in being an active member of LHS. While all of this being said, I'm not here to talk about this today. Today I'm here to propose my opinion of the questioning of Ms. Patrick's position as a student who held many positions here myself. When I heard about her authority being questioned, I was nothing but surprised. The Miss Patrick I knew in all 4 years I spent at LHS was a determined, successful, positive, motivating, and all-around genuine, life-changing human being. As a student of my generation who drove to make a change for our school with my very opinionated personality, Miss Patrick was undoubtedly everything I could ask for. She inspires all students to use their voice and stand up for what they believe in. She was always a listening ear for any idea that any student had and always worked her best to make them actually happen. Oftentimes I found myself in her office proposing my own ideas that I thought would bring positive change to our student body, and she never overlooked me once. Without Miss Patrick, LHS would truly not be the same. In her little time here, she has already made drastic differences. Miss Patrick encouraged me and helped me and the whole Out Club organize the first ever assembly that was based all around our life skills class. Miss Patrick also allowed me and helped me set up the first ever senior sunrise that we had at LHS. Miss Patrick helped me pursue the idea that I had with taking a student section bus to Culver for a football game to bring our school pride all the way there. And not only did she make this happen, but she also bought us pizzas after the game so no one had to go home hungry. You may be wondering how all of these, what may seem meaningless, small things affect LHS and the position that Miss Patrick should maintain here. What all these things prove is that Miss Patrick truly cares. Miss Patrick cares if her students are being heard. She cares if her students see her supporting them throughout anything. She cares if the students with mental health struggles are getting the attention and support they need. She cares because her door is always open as long as she's not in a meeting. She cares if she announces any student's accomplishments on the announcements every single morning. She cares if students felt safe during the times of COVID when it was so easy to feel alone and fearful. She cares to hold many students in her office to reassure safety after there was gun threats at our school. She cares if our life skills students and our foreign exchange students got to walk with us for graduation. She cares enough to watch every student walk in the door safely every single morning, wishing every single one a good morning and not missing one. Lastly, something I've learned about living in this generation is that not everybody is going to agree on every single thing, and we don't have to. But something it would be really hard to argue is that Miss Patrick cares about her school and her students. Thank you for listening, and I hope that this is taken into consideration as I was a student who spent all 4 years under Miss Patrick's authority, and as for myself and many other students that I'm still friends with to this day, we would say she is truly the perfect fit. Thank you.
Hogan.
Madam President and Board, thank you tonight for the opportunity to speak. My name is Julie Homans. I live 40 minutes away north in Highland, Indiana, and I began teaching computer science and digital design last April at LHS. My statement is included in the document that you received tonight, but what I want to share tonight is a clarification of the impression and the experience with the current LHS administration. From my corporate world experience, both national and international, working with this team is truly impressive. It's not out of loyalty that I share this. It is out of the observation and the experience. They prioritize face-to-face conversations instead of hiding behind the black and white, potentially misinterpreted emails. They recognize how quick face-to-face conversations can be effective and valuable. They have supported me from day one, patiently recognizing that the education realm is different than where I have taught and worked before. They have demonstrated the solid teamwork that if I have a conversation with one of them about curriculum or about a class, they will talk as a team to determine the next steps and let me know what I need to do or how to proceed. I've worked with non-communicative leaders, ones unwilling to change. The leadership at LHS, led by Ms. Angela Patrick, is not that. They are willing to listen. They seek to understand both teachers and students. They want to bring innovation and try new things. They understand the Department of Education and what's important there and how can we bring it into LHS with keeping with the times of new things. They are very approachable. Their door is always open. This is the observation that I wanted to share with you tonight. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Denise Hower.
Give me a second.
Take your time.
My name is Denise Hower. I was a school counselor for 12 years. My most recent position was the director of school counseling here at Lowell High School for the past 2 years. But I spent 4 years as a counselor at Lowell High School. I was a 2-time honorary pride recipient and a finalist for School Counselor of the Year for the state of Indiana. You don't know me. I'm just trying to give you a little background. I resigned at the end of last year. But let me be perfectly clear that LHS administration had nothing to do with my resignation. In fact, they are the reason that I stayed as long as I did. While I may not be employed by Tri-Creek anymore, I remain a Lowell resident and a community member invested in our schools. After watching the last board meeting, I was appalled to see Mr. Anderson asking to non-renew Angela Patrick's contract. I would like to speak on my experience working with Angela from a school counselor's perspective. Last week, many people spoke about how she embodies the Red Devil Pride acronym of perseverance, reliability, integrity, drive, and empathy. She sure does, absolutely. Every day is always a great day to be a Red Devil with Angela Patrick. But if you were to look at the leadership that she has and compare it to Tri-Creek's guiding principles, you would see that you would be just as confused as I am as to why we're here tonight. So I summarized, and I know I've got a minute and 40 seconds, but I'm going to submit my full statement. The genuine relationships built on mutual respect and care Angela builds can be seen firsthand from the statements that were given last meeting tonight, and it's why I'm back. She is aware of what's happening in the building. She's active. She's a positive leader. She invests. She's present. No one goes into education looking for accolades, but Angela Patrick certainly understands how an act of kindness and words of affirmation can have a lasting effect and can continue to inspire. If you go into shared responsibility, she talks about how she would never ask you to do something that she wouldn't do herself, and then she usually goes first. She's a team player. She'll sub in a classroom, she'll proctor a test, she'll do lunch duty, she'll do other things that principals in other schools won't do. You'll see her in the hallways, she'll have a conversation with you, she's present in all ways. We worked side by side on so many projects over the last 4 years, and she's always been easy to work with and an absolute joy. She's the one you want on your team. She puts her heart into everything she does. Every single day she embraces the challenges before her. I think back to my first year when I was met with a lot of pushback in the counseling office. I was a new person. There hadn't been a new person in the counseling office in 10 plus years. She listened to me, she heard me, she empowered me to make the program better. And I will always respect her, and I just don't understand why we're here tonight. So, after all of this, you may ask why I did leave. Just 30 more seconds. There are a variety of reasons, but the top of the list was the aftermath of the meeting of the stage where the administration was apologizing for doing their job. When I met with Andy and participated in the subsequent meetings, I did not have the confidence or trust that things would be any different in the future, that undermining the administration would continue and the few squeaky wheels would be the only voices heard. It's all very sad and utterly disappointing. I could have gone to any of the neighboring districts. All of them had counseling positions open. I received offers without even applying. But I told Angela as I sobbed when I gave her my resignation that I only wanted to work for her and that I only would ever return to school counseling if it was under her realm. And that remains to be true. So I ask you to reflect on the guiding principles, listen to those who work with Angela day after day, year after year. Ask questions, look at the data, and make an informed decision as you've been elected to do. Please don't let her go to go to another school to make it great. Let her continue to make our school great.
Thank you.
11th grade honor roll students at LHS. I'm also the husband to a teacher in a different district in the county. I know I will not get through this all. I say all this because all is important statements to my statement. I've spoken to this board many times in my 6 years of teaching. Usually it's about successes of my students, from my machining class, and all of those are in some part due to the leadership at our school. I've spent 15 years in high-speed automotive manufacturing industry. I have a bachelor's in engineering. I came directly from that world, the working world, to the teaching world, which are vastly different. Through all the chaos, I started 2 weeks into the school year, meanwhile having no structure to my class. The class had never been taught before. I didn't even have a book the first day of class. The books were on order. Since I was a teacher, the first teacher of this class, the program had to be built from the ground up. I have to learn how to scaffolding. It's not the scaffolding we use in industry. It's scaffolding of lesson planning, curriculum mapping, handling students' IEPs and 504s, learning the difference between ways to keep students engaged in topics that they know nothing about. A colleague from a school in the neighboring district I once visited when I first started told me that transferring from industry to teaching is like drinking from a fire hose. You have to take in as much as you can, keep going full blast forward. If it was not for our administration team at LHS, I would not have made it through the first year and came back for a second, let alone stick around for 6. They always listen to my challenges, having trouble in or out of the classrooms, help me find solutions that fit my program's goals. They've never once denounced me, shoved me away, or figure it out yourself. They always help me find and forgive and understand the issues that we have faced in our building. We have all built this program quite literally from the ground up, and arguably turned it into one of the best trades programs in the state of Indiana in only 5.5 years. Meanwhile, let's not forget, through a global pandemic, every year we introduce 70 students to different trades for career opportunities. Among those students, we have had a Skills USA regional champion, a 3rd place state runner-up, IMTMA 1st and 2nd place winners, a project manufacturing team that last year competed against 3 high schools, 22 community colleges and universities from across the country, in which our LHS students performed better than most at the regional competition. We have had 22 local business members on an industrial advisory board that is extremely interested in helping our students succeed in high school. And absolutely, and I mean absolutely, none of this would be accomplished without receiving the help and the guidance from our team. At the beginning, I said I was a father of 2 11th grade students that have been on the honor roll their whole career at LHS. When my students were in 8th grade, sorry. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing, if I may finish. Every morning we enter our morning announcements. At the end, we say, let's make it a great day to be a Red Devil. And board, if you read the end of it, there is a prize. If you want to come see me in the trades building, you can have your prize.
Okay, that is the end of our personnel one. So we move on to personnel item 1. I am looking for a motion to approve the delivery of a preliminary notice that the board is considering a decision of non-renewal of an administrative contract to be delivered by my appointment of Kyle Mitch, board vice president. So I need a motion and a second to open discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the notice of consider the non-renewal of administration contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. The table is open for discussion. Okay. We will take a vote this time tonight by a show of hands. Those in favor, please raise your hand. Those not in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-1. There is an opportunity for public comment on non-related agenda items. We don't have anything. The next board, Tri-Creek board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 25th. And is there any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, I close the meeting.